Hi, second grade Cougars. So today we're going to continue studying matter. Matter can be a solid, liquid, or a gas, but today we're going to start looking at liquids. So we're going to notice that some of the properties are going to be different about liquids and solids. Okay, before we get started, I wanted you to see that we did not do this page, outdoor solids. You guys can do this if you would like on your own. We are going to turn our attention to liquids. So the next page is liquid exploration. And we're going to go ahead and glue a couple things into your science notebook before we get started, okay? So I'm going to go to the next available page. Not any random page, but the next available page. And I'm going to glue this into my science notebook. Hey, I wanted to tell you, I loved seeing your towers. Some of your teachers sent me pictures of your towers and they were awesome. I loved seeing them. I love those types of projects. It's so much fun to build and to do things and to become engineers, right? My son is an engineer and Mrs. Freiberg's son is an engineer too. He is an electrical engineer and so is my son, an electrical engineer. Okay, so I have my 2 pages glued in, and of course we always have to put the date. So for me, the date is 9/16. You guys are going to put the date that it is for you. Before we get started today, I want to just talk a little bit about your supplies. So I gave everybody one empty bottle. Well, as you'll see in a minute, it's not empty, it's full of air. I gave everybody one bottle like this. We're gonna need more than one bottle, but I gave you one just so that you could have it. But boys and girls, you can get any bottle. Like you can get, I got an old water bottle that I put some stuff in it. So if you can get 6 or 7 bottles that are about the same size, I don't want them to be huge. And then we're gonna put some things into them. So this one has air in it. This one has just plain water. So make sure that you put one that has just plain water. This one is water with just some green food coloring. It doesn't have to be green. Just put a little bit of food coloring in one bottle. This one is water with just a little bit of dish soap in it. This one is just plain dish soap. This one is oil. It doesn't have to be fancy olive oil, just any kind of oil. This one is Karo syrup, but you could use honey or any other liquid that's thick like that. And this one is hair conditioner. So that's what that is, if you could get something like that. This one is chocolate syrup in this bottle. Okay, so you need to make those bottles with the supplies, and then you need a piece of cardboard and either a block or a book that you can make a ramp out. So boys and girls, what I want us to do is kind of take these bottles and keep the tops on so that it doesn't spill out. And I want you to just to see, how do the liquids behave? How do they move inside the bottles? You might want to compare them to each other. You might want to look at how the light goes through them. Can you see through them? So I want you to take a few minutes and just look at all the liquids in the bottle. Next thing I want you to do is I want you to build that little ramp. So I'm gonna push my bottles to the side, and I've got this block, and I have my cardboard here. And I want to see what happens when I roll the bottles down the ramp. And I'm gonna put a bottle at the end so it doesn't roll off the table. Okay, so I've got this green water, and I'm just gonna see how it rolls down the ramp. Bang, really whacked into it. Okay, it moved pretty fast, didn't it? Okay, here's the green water, and it moved fast. I'm gonna get well, this clear water is probably gonna act the same way. Yep, transparent water, exactly the same. So I'm gonna get this one. For me, it's corn syrup. You might have honey, okay? And I'm gonna put it on the ramp. That's interesting. Let's look at it again. So it went down super slow at the beginning. Okay, I'm gonna try another one. This is the one that has a little bit of bubbles in it. Pretty fast. Here's the oil. Hey, I think it went slower. Let's see. I'm gonna compare it to the water. I'm gonna put both of them together. Look at that. Did you notice that the water went faster than the oil? Not a lot faster, but definitely faster. So I want you, boys and girls, to roll the liquids down the ramp and see if you can put them in order from fastest to slowest. You're going to have to keep comparing them against each other. So this is my order. I had the clear water and the green water, they tied. They were the same. After that, it was the water that had a little bit of dish soap in it because it got bubbly, and the bubbles, I think, slowed it down. Then, for me, it was the oil, then the dish soap, then the hair conditioner, and then the honey or the Karo syrup. So boys and girls, everybody might have a little bit of a different answer because we all have different liquids. Some of the liquids might be thicker than others. Some might be thinner than others. Let's take a minute and look at our science notebook. The first page that we put in, it says liquid exploration. How are liquids different from each other? And it said some liquids are blank, but some liquids are, or other liquids are blank. So what's the difference between this liquid and this liquid? So this one I think is thin, and this one is thick. Let's write that in our science notebook. Some liquids are thin, but other liquids are thick. And boys and girls, if you want, you can draw a line across, and I'm going to say thin. And the other one that is thick, I want to show you something. Do you see how the level, it was not completely flat at the beginning, right? It took a while for it to kind of become all even. So I drew kind of an uneven top. Boys and girls, I have a couple of cards that describe some of the properties of some of the liquids that I want to share with you. And we might want to use some of these when we're talking about the liquids. So some liquids have color, right? This bottle of liquid had color. This bottle also has color, a different color, right? Okay. Some liquids are transparent. Transparent, remember, means that you can see through it. So I can see through this bottle. This liquid is transparent. I can see through this bottle. This liquid is transparent. Some bottles, some liquids were bubbly, especially the one where I put a little bit of soap in it. It became very bubbly. Some liquids are viscous. This is a really important word. We before just talked about how some liquids were thin and some were thick. Liquids that are thick are viscous. Viscous. Some liquids are foamy. Okay, how is foamy different from bubbly? I think I need to look at that again. So this one is definitely foamy. I'm gonna look at this one here. Ah, I see a difference. This one has bubbles inside it, and I think this one is bubbly. And this one has bubbles on top, and this one is foamy. Okay, I'm glad that we clarified that. And this one is translucent. Boys and girls, translucent is a really interesting one. It allows light to pass through, but you can't always necessarily see through it. If it's see-through, it's transparent. If light goes through it, it's translucent. If no light goes through, it is opaque. I want to talk about transparent, translucent, and opaque a little bit more. So, I have a flashlight, and one of the most important things in terms of being translucent or opaque is whether light goes through the material, okay? So, I have my flashlight, and I have this liquid, and you can see light is going through it, right? You can see the light going through. So this one you might think to yourself, oh, this is opaque, but let's look at it. Do you see that there is light actually going through it? It's kind of glowing, right? So this is translucent. This is chocolate sauce. The flashlight is on, but no light is going through the chocolate sauce. The chocolate sauce is opaque. So this is opaque. This is translucent. And this is transparent. Now, boys and girls, I want you to get this page that we glued into your science notebook, liquid properties. And we're going to go through it together, okay? So I'm gonna start with one. This is water, and is the water transparent? Yes. Is it translucent? No, it's transparent. Does it have color? No. Is it viscous? Viscous means that it's very slow and thick. It is not viscous. Is it bubbly? I don't think it still has bubbles in it. I would say no. Is it foamy? They pop pretty fast. I'd say no. So I would say the only property of the water is that it's transparent. Please go ahead and do the rest of the properties with the liquids that you have. You might have to share your ideas because some people might not have all the bottles, not have all the liquids. So boys and girls, I wanted to write a little bit about something that I noticed about liquids. So on the page right opposite the check marks, I wrote, liquids move in their bottles. Some liquids are transparent. That means I can see through them. Some are translucent, which means that light can go through them. Some are opaque, like this chocolate sauce is opaque. Some liquids are thick or viscous. Some liquids are thin and runny. Liquids are not rigid. Can you imagine building with liquid? It would just run all over the place, right? So boys and girls, I wrote some of my thoughts. Please write some of your thoughts about liquids in your science notebook. See you next week, Cougars.